Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Television. I'm here with Abby Van Meter at the Nelson County Extension Office. And today, we're going to be cooking healthy, and we're going to be making easy Italian ziti, which is the February recipe in the 2017 Food and Nutrition Calendar, brought to you by the Extension offices.
Yes, so last month we did the garlic pork that was in the slow cooker, which turned out really well. And
was it tasty?
It was very tasty. I actually served it to a group of a class later that day, and they really enjoyed it. So we're going to try out the February recipe this month, as Gary said, the easy
Instead
Italian
of Vanna White,
ziti.
you get Gary White.
Yes, that's right. So we're going to try to kind of move through the calendar because they go with the seasons, and they're all really good recipes. They've been tried, tested, and they are healthier options to a lot of our favorite recipes. So, you know, your family might really enjoy Italian or spaghetti night. And so this is kind of a different recipe that is a healthier option.
Great.
So
healthy is always good.
That's right. And it needs to taste good. So it can't be healthy if it doesn't taste good.
That's right.
So we started, I went on and browned our ground meat, and this is 90% lean, so it has less fat content. So I cooked that, made sure it was nice and brown. Then I drained out the excess fat and then rinsed it. So rinsing the ground meat that you're using really gets rid of a lot more of that fat as well. So you want as little fat as possible, of course. So that's on the stove. We're going to add in.
And that's the grease.
That's the grease, yeah. And if you, whenever you notice, if you do rinse it, then it's not just water that's coming out. That grease is with it too. So it's a good idea to do that in any kind of meat recipe, you know, tacos or anything like that. We're going to add in a jar of pasta sauce, and the recipe calls for low sodium, so this is actually a Heart Smart spaghetti sauce. It is Heart Health Month, so this is a heart healthy recipe. So for it to be labeled Heart Smart, the American Heart Association has its kind of seal on it, which means that there is 40% of your daily vegetables in a serving. It's gluten-free, low in fat and saturated fat, and it has 25% less sodium than a regular pasta sauce.
Great. So 40% of
your vegetables in a half a cup.
So if I eat 2 servings of this, then
that's
I can get 80%.
So, you know, and a lot of times pasta sauces, they all have that vegetable because it's tomatoes, but it does have a lot of the fat and sodium. So getting one that is less sodium, you can still get the benefits without the negative part.
And sodium has some definite negatives.
Right. So we're going to add in the whole jar into the ground beef. And we're going to stir that up and kind of just let that heat together. And while that's getting warm, we're going to make up with our noodles and our cheese mixture.
Okay. Now, how many people will this serve? 8 servings.
This is 8 servings. So definitely enough for a family dinner with some leftovers. So definitely, you know, a good meal.
And according to this, the cost for the recipe is only $14.10.
Right, yeah. So that's it's a fairly cheap recipe.
That may depend, you know.
Right. And
what you get,
a lot of this stuff, you know, you would probably have at home. You know, you might have some ground meat in the freezer. You might have some noodles, some pasta sauce, and then just some spices. So it's not a lot of stuff that you have to buy and then think you'll never use again.
Yes.
And it does also use the whole wheat pasta.
Okay.
So we got the whole grain penne noodles. They're 100% whole wheat. So our dietary guidelines suggest that half of our grain should be whole grains. So that's things like whole wheat pastas, breads, oatmeal, popcorn, those kind of things. So this recipe gives you some whole grains, which have lots of fiber and other nutrients that the enriched grains do not.
Yes, more healthy for you.
Yes. So we're going to work on our cheese
it's very
mixture
tasty.
now. Yeah, and especially if you're putting all this other stuff in it, you're not going to be able to tell a big difference.
Right.
If your family is against the whole grain or the whole wheat noodles, what I suggest is doing half and half. So you could do half whole grain, half regular, and then kind of start adjusting it and making it more and more whole grain, and then they might not even notice.
Right. You can integrate it in there.
Yes. So next we're going to work on our cheese mixture. We're going to put in 2 cups of cottage cheese. So a lot of lasagnas and things might use a cottage cheese or a ricotta cheese. So this is a low-fat cottage cheese. So you're getting lots of dairy, so calcium and protein from the cottage cheese.
Okay.
So this actually has, per serving, let's see, it has 8% of calcium that you need for the day and only 2.5 grams of fat. so it is a lower fat.
Okay.
So we're going to add that in. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 2 teaspoons of parsley. And if you had just like a regular Italian seasoning at home, you could definitely use that as well. And last but not least, we're going to add in 1 egg and kind of beat that up a little bit.
So this is the actual cheese sauce.
Cheese mixture,
Mixture, okay.
Yeah, so once this is made, once we put our egg in there and mix that up a little bit.
Just more protein, right?
Right, more protein. And the most recent data has suggested that eggs, they told us we needed to limit our eggs at some point, but they're saying they're not as, they're healthy again. So you got to keep up with the changing times. But
New information.
New
and stuff.
information.
That's right. And that had the full egg, right?
The full egg.
The yolk and the white.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So that is mixed up well. And then we're going to go on and add in our 8 ounces of cooked noodles. So we'll go on and put those in. We're just kind of stir that around.
Actually, that looks sizable. Like
Right,
a lot
yeah,
of food, so
yeah.
that's good.
And it would be very
that
easy
pasta in
to double and, you know, make more if you wanted to, if you had a larger group.
I like the whole grain. pasta.
I do too. It's a little, it takes a little bit to get used to, but it is definitely a lot
It's more
healthier
dense
and
or something.
yeah,
There's
a little
something
heartier and
heartier, yeah. But
Yeah.
but it's good.
yeah. So that is all mixed in. You can smell all those spices mixing in together.
Looks good.
Yes. So we have that there. We're going to set that aside and we're going to spray our baking pan because you're actually going to bake this on 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. We're going to spray that really good.
So is the pasta already cooked?
The pasta is already cooked. So you're just kind of getting everything meshed
Combined,
together
yeah.
and yes, mixed. So this is looks like it's heated well. So the next thing, you're going to kind of layer it a little bit. So it's almost kind of like a mix between a ziti and a lasagna. So you're going to put a little bit of the sauce in first and then add in a few of the noodles and then top it with the rest of the sauce.
Okay.
Use this spoon and just kind of dump in just a nice thin layer.
And again, this is the easy Italian ziti because it is pretty easy.
Yeah, very.
So far.
Very, yeah, so
It's easy
far
for
we're
me, I haven't
almost
done
done.
it.
And then we're going to put in all of the noodle mixture. So it's more just the sauce on the bottom and the top.
And you had the different herbs and stuff that are in there to give it
And
the
there's
different
no added
flavors.
salt or anything like that, so it really is a heart-healthy, good February recipe.
With Italian, or with spaghetti sauce,
Yes.
a lot of times it can have a lot of.
Yes, and then you're just going to add in
Salt.
the rest of the sauce on top and kind of distribute that out.
And that'd be nice too with the cheese in there. It'll be-
And then last but not least, of course, we got to add a little more cheese.
okay,
So we're going to add in,
if we have to.
yes, a low-fat mozzarella. So you can actually
mozzarella.
find the low-fat made with skim or 1% milk at the grocery. So that's what this is. And so you're just going to sprinkle a cup on top. And so that will bake down. And I think it's going to be really,
Yeah, that'll look good.
really good.
So who's the lucky people who get to eat this
So
later?
today I'm going to be taking this to Participation Station for a program there. So we're going to be talking about the calendar and they're going to get to try out the ziti recipe.
We had them on our show a little while back.
Yeah,
with people
yeah.
from-
So
just
hopefully they like it. But like I
Absolutely.
said, 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Bake it uncovered. And then you're going to let it stand about 5 minutes before you start cutting into it.
Great. And that's the Easy Italian Ziti. You can get your food and nutrition calendar
Yes.
from the extension offices in Marion, Washington, and Nelson counties and they're free.
We
They
have
all these
plenty,
great
so
Yep,
come by or call if you just want a recipe, but we'd love to give you a calendar as well. So.
absolutely. Again, this has been Gary White with Abby Van Meter at the Nelson County Extension Office.